My name is Dr. Christy Morgan, and I am the Arizona Director for Candle Wishes in Phoenix, Arizona.
My name is Jenny Williams. I'm the founder and executive director of the Candle Wishes Foundation. I just really felt this burden come over me for these kids.
Children mean a lot. You never want a child to grow up feeling like they're not loved.
God put this on my heart to want to give these children happy birthdays.
This foundation just touched my heart, so I knew that this was something that I needed to do.
Okay, y'all, I'm not gonna ugly cry. This is terrible.
There was a time in our life where we struggled. There was a time in our life where we lived paycheck to paycheck. One time when we first moved down to Phoenix, a friend of ours, even at Christmas time, paid for my son to have a picture. Paid to have a picture of our son sitting on Santa's lap, and I couldn't afford it because we had just moved across the country. And so that's always stuck with me. If you would love to sponsor a child, if you would like to throw a birthday party, if you would like to just volunteer,
we need your help. Reach out to us so that we can connect and make our community a better place.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And listen, I am very, very excited to have the guest on that I have today, Tony Provost, which I'm going to bring him on here in a second. But I want to first plug Dr. Christy Morgan and the Candle Wishes Foundation out in Arizona. It's what a great organization. They're helping underprivileged children that would have no birthday party. They're helping them have a birthday party. So it's an amazing foundation. Make sure you go on Facebook and follow them and support them if you can. So without any more about all that, I want to tell you about this guy I have coming on. He is a good friend of mine. He's a client of mine, and he is an amazing dude that owned a car dealership for many, many years. Been around the block a few times, and I want to go ahead and welcome my buddy Tony Provost on the show. Tony, welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you very much, Ken. Nice to be here.
I'm glad to have you on finally, man. We've got some people watching right now, Jason Hallen, Ilona, Vicky. So thank you guys for being in. Thank you to everybody who shares this out in advance. Really appreciate it. I think you're going to learn a lot today. One of the things that I've gotten pretty good at is surrounding myself with winners and people who have reached levels that I hope to get to someday. And Tony's one of those guys. He's really, you'll see, he's an amazing dude. And so, Tony, let's start with talking about, a little bit about you, who you are, where you were born and raised.
I was born in Glasgow, Scotland, if you can imagine that one.
Scotland.
That's right. My dad was in the Navy, met my mother in Scotland. They got married there. They had me. And then when he finished his tour there, he came back to the States. So she left her whole family and came over here. And then that was the deal. And I grew up in a town called Baltic, Connecticut. It was a little small mill town. Very low, it was like a blue collar mill town, small little home. We had an apartment when I first started. I can remember, I have a memory, so I can remember when I was 4 years old. So I remember the apartment that we started off in, and then the little house that we had. And then my mom and dad there's four boys. I'm the oldest of four. And my dad was an electrician, and he worked. He was young when he had me. He was like 20, almost 21 years old. They were both the same age. So you can imagine. So he had family that his mom was here, and his dad was really ill when he was young. So his father was in a convalescent by the time he was 15, 16. So it was.
So you grew up in Connecticut, and which is a pretty small state, isn't it? Like I don't even think I've been. Have I been through Connecticut maybe on my way to Boston? Did I go through a stretch of Connecticut maybe? I don't know.
And only if you're coming from out of New York. So if you're coming from New York, drive right up 95 to go to 395.
So you grew up in Connecticut, and you said your dad was in the military?
He was in the military. He just did a 3-4 year stint in the military, and then he got out. He was an electrician. He went to high school as a trade school electrician. He got out, did electrical in high school, went in the military as an electrician, and then when he got out, he started working as an electrician. And then after 2 or 3 years, he ended up getting into the electrical union, and he worked. But my dad worked a lot of hours, and I think that's where I got my work ethic from, is because my dad, he had 4 kids young, and he had to work. So, back then he'd work 6-7 days a week, and then, people back then used to have kids to do chores. So it's totally different than now. So that's how that all deal works. So it was kind of funny because I've always worked since I was about 8 years old. I had my own paper route at 9, and that's why my first entrepreneurial move. I think I kind of told you that story.
Yeah, and you did, and I mean, you are you are obsessed with getting up early and doing the deal, man. And I love that about you, man. You're one of these people that you're an anomaly. Like there's I don't know many people that get up at the hour. Let's tell everybody what time you get up every day.
It depends. It depends on the day. Another thing is though, Ken, I was never the smartest kid in school. I was always like that kid that tried hard, did the right things in school, but was like a B student, B plus. I was never that straight A student that didn't have to study. I had to work at it.
Yeah.
So the thing with me was I would always outwork everybody.
Right.
So I'd always be up early. So when I got a paper at 8 years old, I was up at 3:30, 4 o'clock. And the funny thing is this was when I really knew I understood money. At 9 years old, the first week, my paper route used to be Monday through Saturday, no Sunday delivery. The first week on the weekends, I was going around collecting my money. I was like, this is crazy. So I went to every one of my clients, knocked on their doors and said, here's what I'm going to do. What? I want all your money to be put out on Friday night. So Saturday when I come here and deliver your paper, I got my money and I'm not chasing you all week.
Right.
And the price is going from $1.20 a week to $1.50. And everybody but one said, okay. Well, why is it going to, and a couple of people said, well, why are you going to go to $1.50? I said, because I promise you that your paper will be at your home before 5 a.m. My papers used to get dropped off at 2 a.m.
Wow.
Back then, you can think about this, 1973.
Yeah.
Used to get the news at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So if I got you your paper, the value was I got them their paper an hour before the news. They could read their paper before the news came on, whether it was on the radio or it was on TV. So that was kind of like I understood it. But at that point in time too, I was making like $31 a week.
Right.
I pushed $1.50. I figured out how much money I would make. So I figured out the hours. It took me like 2 hours to do my paper, right? 54 papers. So I figured out how much I'd make an hour back then, So that's kind of how I did it.
So, and how old were you?
9.
9 years old. You got your paper route. You're delivering 54 papers a day. Every day?
Yeah, every day.
And you're making $30 some a week.
Yeah, as a little kid.
Profit.
Profit. So, because the paper pages.
Hey, that's like $300,000 now. I'm just kidding.
It was a lot of money because I can remember this, 1978. I worked on a dairy farm from the time I was 12 till I was about 16.
Right.
I gave up the paper because I could make more money on the dairy farm. So I used to milk cows, and I'd go up early in the morning. I'd help the guy milk cows, feed them, do all that kind of stuff before I go to school. Then I'd come back, shower, and go to school. In grade school, 4th, 5th grade, 6th grade.
Yeah.
So funny.
So here you are in Connecticut. You're doing the paper route. You're 9 years old. How did and your dad is working for a union, so he's blue collar guy. He's not an entrepreneur, right? He's working for somebody.
No, he worked in the union, but he was in the powerhouses, so they got paid a lot of money at some time there. And what ended up happening with him is he saved his money. My father still thinks it's 1956 today, and he's 76 years old.
Wow.
I mean, he saves his dough. He don't spend nothing. He's kind of different. But what he did do is he bought apartment houses. He was making so much money at one point in time in his early 30s that he always lived like he didn't have money, and he bought an apartment house every year.
Wow.
So he kept an apartment house so he wouldn't have to pay the taxes.
Yeah.
So he never had any real money. He took his money and put it in apartment houses. So by the time he was 61 years old, he had all these apartment houses, and he sold them all off, and that was back in like 2002, and he made a ton of money. But I always watched the way he worked his money, and he put money into his – so he basically put his paycheck from the time he was 50 to 61, his whole paycheck – would go into the union. They used to match it for his retirement. And he had all this rents coming in from his apartments, and they were paid for already.
Yeah. Wow.
So he did really well. But I said, but you know what? I never thought that was the right way. And I'm going to tell you something that really happened. He retired at 61. A year and a half later, my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Wow.
So all that money, all that work, what is it good for?
Wow. Holy crap. So, he was diagnosed with it?
She was.
Oh, she was.
So she does all this work, does all that, gets to the point where they can start traveling, and then what do they do?
Wow.
So my rule of thumb is your golden years are your 40s, 50s, and 60s. Enjoy it, do what you can do, work it, and you'll be fine. You can you focus on the money will be there, but you got to focus on some other things too.
Yeah, I agree, man.
Yeah.
I agree. And I know that, and we'll get to this, but I know, you've done incredibly well in life.
Wasn't easy.
We'll get it. We'll get
mistakes.
into
A lot of mistakes went along that way.
I'm sure, dude. I was thinking about that this morning, like about myself. And so, but let's talk about, like, you went to school, you went to high school in Connecticut?
I went to high school. Here's the deal what happened in high school. I went to high school. I ended up going to a private high school.
Okay.
I didn't want to go. I wanted to go to the public high school, but there was a lot of issues at the public high school at the time. So I ended up going to the private high school, and I was like a duck out of water. I mean, I was in a school with all these kids that had money and so on and so forth, and my parents couldn't afford it. I was a real good athlete. My parents couldn't. It was too far away. It was 23, 24 miles away from the house. So they couldn't pick me up and that kind of stuff. I had younger brothers, so I had no way of getting home, so I didn't play sports in high school.
Oh.
So basically what I did was I was so angry about it, I started working out. So I used to work out every day, twice a day, mornings and nights, and I would go to the farm, and I'd work after school. Do my homework when I got home, work out, that kind of stuff, go to bed at 10, 11 o'clock at night, and I'd be up again at 3:30 in the morning. I did that all in high school, and then I took a year out of high school. I think I'd go to college. I went to a local school for about 2 years, and I had a painting business, and I was making money in the painting business. I said, I'm making more money in the painting business.
In high school or college?
The last 2 years of high school, I had a painting business.
Painting what?
Painting houses and things like that,
Inside or outside or both?
Both. But this is what happened with me with that one. This is what happens when you do good things for people. One night I was finishing up a job, and I wasn't making a lot of money. I was making decent money painting houses because nobody wanted to do it.
Right.
This guy pulls up in this nice car and says, listen, I got a problem. What? My wife's coming back from Europe. Yep. He says, I'm down the road 2 miles. Here's my address. I said, okay. He goes, I have to have these 2 rooms painted, and they got to be done before tomorrow afternoon. I'll pay you whatever you want. They got to get done. So I go to the houses. I call my guys. I go there. I said, okay, I'll do it for you. I figured out with my guys. I said, we're going to stay all night. We're going to get this done. I made it clear to my guys, I said, I'll pay you a lot of the money. I made like $100 doing it. Yeah. But I wanted the guys to make money, and I didn't want the guy to be screwed up and his wife be screaming at him.
Yeah, right.
So we get done. He couldn't believe I stayed all night and did it all for him. Right? We started like around 6:30 that night. I got all the paint and all that, did everything we needed to do. We finished like 5 in the morning.
Wow.
Kills and ceilings and painting them and all that stuff. So anyways, he says to me, I says, I want you to come see me at my work. Here's my card. He was the president of Aetna.
Oh, wow.
Well, guess what? Those were rate jobs. He gave me every job for the next 2.5 years, and it was huge money.
Oh my God.
That's where my windfall came in.
That's what that's what this show's about right there. That's what it's about, because people think, and I'm just going to tell everybody, you're a multimillionaire and you've done very well, and we'll talk about how you got there, but I want people to know that that's what it takes right there. It's not, you're not just lucky. Are you lucky?
No, there's no. You have to have some luck in some circumstances. I mean, I was lucky the outcome of that.
Right.
I've always felt bad for people. I like, if I can help someone that genuinely need it, I want to help them. That's right. The way I look at it. And that's where we're going to come into all this stuff at the end when we talk about the training game. But the bottom line is, I've been training and selling and closing people since I was 9 years old.
Right.
I have all kinds of stories. When I worked on a farm, the guy was 15. When I was 15, he wanted to get guys to bale hay. I said, how much you going to pay him? I was getting paid $3.50 an hour back then, 16 years old. He says, minimum wage was like $1.20. He says, I'll pay $2 an hour. I said, no, we're not going to do that. What? We're going to pay these guys $1.50. We need 5 guys. Yep. Okay. I'll take the other 50 cents an hour and you add it to me when we do the baling of the hay, because I'm the one that's going to have to do all the work anyway, organize and all that. He said, I'll do that. But he started laughing. He says, you think they're going to do that? He says, I'll have them here working. but you're going to pay me the difference. So I got them all there for $1.50, but I ended up making, 50 times 5, which is another, $1.50 an hour or $2 an hour, whatever it came out to.
Yeah.
I made that extra money every single hour we did the hay. So that was, so I was thinking about the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that guy, how that worked out with the Aetna thing was great, because what ended up happening is he'd give me like this, let's just say it was a big room.
Yeah.
He says, this job pays $7,000. The paint was $400 or $500.
Right.
So I tell my guys, we're going to do 3 rooms. So 7 times 3 is 2,100. It was 21,000, right?
Right.
I paid my guys that say every time we get a room done, you get paid $250. I would give them an extra like $300 or $400 a week is what it ended up coming out to.
Yeah.
And I got a ton of money, so I ended up putting 3 crews on.
That's
paid more money
right there, man. And because that's what I'm talking about is you I don't know if it's intuitively or you just whatever, but you knew that by taking care of the guys helping you build this, that it would build faster and bigger, and you'd add a lot of speed and power behind that. So, but let's talk. So you did or did not go to college?
I stopped going to school my second year of college.
Okay.
I dropped out. Said, that's it. After the first semester, I said, I'm not doing this. I know how to make more money than these guys are telling me. What am I doing with this? And I got into the gym business because remember I told you I worked out a lot?
Yeah.
So I opened up this small gym, expanded it to a Gold's gym within 2 years. Here I am, like 21 years old. And I put a nightclub in there, which was the biggest mistake, by the way. And then I turned around. I had a really good gym business and a nightclub business that was very difficult to make money with. So I got rid of all that. And the reason why I got rid of it, I watched all the car guys coming in and out. Nice suits on, coming in at lunchtime. I started figuring out what they were making for money. Then I realized what the managers made. I said, what are the owners making? So then I realized what owners were making. This is back in 1988, 89. I says, I'm getting out of this business, getting out of that business. I sold my place, and I got in the car business February of 91.
Wow.
I worked for a guy named Matt Eisenberg, who's passed now. He was great. And,
so you started in the car business in 91?
Yep.
Okay, so that's a long time
27 years ago.
Wow.
27 ago. And I said to Matt in my interview, he says, I don't have any room for you. After my interview, he says, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I want you back here tomorrow. I went back tomorrow at the same time he asked me to be there. He asked me a few more questions. And he says, what is your ultimate goal? I said, my ultimate goal is to own a car dealership in 10 years or at least a piece of one.
Yeah.
He goes, how difficult that's going to be? I says, well, I'm going to have to learn how to sell a lot of cars, and that's why I'm here with you, because I know you're way ahead of the curve when it comes to understanding this business. Matt bought a dealership in 1963. Long story short, and he bought all the houses across the street over 6 years and built this big Ford store and owned it outright by 1975. And the place was like 20,000 square feet. Nobody did that.
Wow.
No one built places like that. And he was selling a ton of Fords, and he was way ahead of his time.
Yeah.
And then he would buy old mills. He'd go in and look at the mills, figure out how much copper was in there. He'd buy the mill, sell the copper, and he'd make more money off the copper than he paid for the mill.
Wow.
He was his time. So I used to listen. I used to listen to the guy.
Yeah.
But the bottom line was, I left him in 1994. I was making maybe 95, 100 grand. So, and I went to a place that I studied. And I said, man, I could make a ton of money here. So they wanted to put me on as a floor manager. I said, do me a favor. Let me work 6 months on the floor selling cars. So therefore, when you do make me a floor manager, the guys will believe me because they know I don't know how to do it.
Right.
Well, I sold 35, 40 cars a month, and I was making like 23, 24 grand a month back in 1994, that was my windfall. At the end of 6 months, they said, we can't afford you to stay on the floor anymore. You got to become a manager. So they wanted to give me a pay cut, which is what ended up happening.
Yeah.
But I knew no way I was going to grow unless I took the step.
Right.
So long story short there, within a year, I went to another guy. I worked for him for 3 years, became his general manager and his executive manager of a Nissan Jeep store. Then Nissan called me and said, you got to go to this Metro store. If you want to be an owner, we'll get you a store. You go work with this guy in Metro store, work and fix him because he's all screwed up. Clean him up. This is 1996, 97. And he might make you a piece. He might give you a piece of the deal. If he doesn't, you don't have to stay.
Yeah.
Well, long and behold, you clean him up. You think he was giving me a piece? So he didn't. So I went and worked for a friend of mine at a Toyota store, 1998 to 2001. And I basically told him, I said, look, I'm going to come and help you. That place made so much money. We made a ton of dough. And it was one of the best stores in the country. It was #1 in customer retention.
Wow.
I told him, I will work for you until I find a store. Nissan called me and said, we got 2 stores. 2001, here we are, almost 10 years later to the day. I was April 15th of 01. I put $500,000 of my money into a deal to own 25%. Bought out one brother, and then I ended up buying out the other brother 5 years later in '06. So I owned 100% of the store in 2006.
Wow, man. That's incredible.
I'll tell you how that happened. I was supposed to be in there longer with him. I had an employment contract.
Yeah.
I was smart enough to know I didn't know the guy. So I sold everything in Connecticut. I went out and worked 5 months. From April, because my oldest daughter was graduating college, and my youngest daughter was starting preschool. That's how the age difference were. It was big age between the two kids. And so the oldest one started college, and the little one's going to start preschool. This is how crazy things are. I go up there and I work like crazy for 5 months. This place was hemorrhaging. So I put all my money in, and the money's gone like in 2 days, 3 days, and his brother never got it. So we had to pay his brother over the next 3.5, 4 years because the place wasn't doing well. Long story short, we made $1 million in 8 months in that store. Okay?
Wow.
But I moved my family. I sold my home in August. Moved my family up there 9/9 in September. And I had to go to a dealer meeting. Flew out 9/10 out of Boston. 9/10/01. Think about this.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
To Vegas. I just moved my family up there. We're renting a home. I sold my home in Connecticut. I made a boatload of money in a house. I said I won't take any of that money. That's the money I'm going to use to build a new home here.
Yeah.
And that's what I ended up doing. But the bottom line is I ended up going out to Vegas, and all that stuff happened on 9/11. And it was late, and it was Vegas. You lose 3 hours.
Yep.
I'm up early, and all of a sudden I'm watching this thing go on, and I call my friend from Connecticut. I says, "You won't believe what's going on. Turn on TV." So we go down and we flip a coin. I win the toss. We go to Desert Nissan. We put a Quest on floor plan at 9 o'clock in the morning. We put a temporary tag on it. We pull out our stuff and we drive cross country in 43 hours.
Oh my God.
We're going like in 4 hours. They said, we're either going to look like the two biggest idiots driving across country, or we're going to look like geniuses because all the planes got grounded.
Right. Yeah.
So I just moved my family on 9/9. Here I am on 9/11, and I'm driving all the way across country. I'm there for 5 hours to drive all the way back 43 hours.
Dude, that's insane, man. That's insane. So now you moved them where, though? You moved them from Connecticut
to Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah,
is that Boston area or?
That's 60 miles. So Cape Cod, if you look at Boston, it's like where the arm is, like the arm on the.
Yeah.
So you see the arm on the.
Yeah.
So the edge, when you get out there to the water, the bay is that's the beginning of Cape Cod. Born.
I got you.
That's
so
how it works.
You're out there with all the rich people.
Not really. Not really. I mean, certain parts of it had money, but the bottom line is it wasn't poor people.
Yeah. Yeah, right. But let's talk about that, because I know that, and I know people that are I mean, look, you didn't grow up in a wealthy family.
No. I'm going to tell you how wealthy it was. I used to get Toughskins. I don't know if you remember Sears. I used to wear Toughskins to school because they had the things in your knees. So they had like this plastic things in your knees so your knees wouldn't wear out. And my father used to say, unless you grow tall, that's all you're getting is these 3 pairs of Toughskins. You want me to Caldors. This place called these are Cal Stars. I wanted to get Converse All Stars. So what ended up happening, by the time I was 13, I was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
I would take the money my father would give me for the Toughskins, and I'd go buy Levi corduroys, because back then that's what they were in.
Right.
So I had to pay the difference. I had to pay the difference for everything that I wanted.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's how it worked. But that's the way it was back then. I think money was tight in the 60s and 70s anyway. And I don't think there was as many wealthy people back then as there is today.
No, there weren't. But I mean, here's the thing though, is people, wealth, and you tell me if I'm wrong. Wealth starts in your mind.
I think you have to keep focused on the wealth, but you only are going to get wealthy if you stay grounded.
Right.
You only get, because you know why? Money doesn't change you. I'm no different now than I was 30 years ago.
Right.
Other than maybe you buy a few nicer things and stuff like that. But I'm not a big spender on crazy stuff. I always try to help the people that are in the system, the family, whatever you might have to deal with. You got to have plenty aside, but I'm always on real estate and that kind of stuff. And I think you know about that. So the reality of the whole thing is it can't change you. It can't change your personality. I mean, I've always been a person of faith. I thank my parents for that. So since I was a kid, And when I say a kid, other than maybe 5 years of my life, I go to church twice a week. I went this morning, so I go Saturdays and then one day during the week. I've always done that.
Wow.
And again, it's good for me. It grounds me. So it's just the way I do things, Yeah. But I've never been a drinker or a drug person. I've always focused on, and to me, work and growing is a lifestyle.
Sure.
It's not work to me.
Right.
So when I say I work 95 or 105, I don't work 9 to 5.
Right.
I work 95 to 105, and I love it. I was up at 1 this morning.
I know, dude. You're 8 up. I'm not kidding. Like you guys don't understand. Tony's a client of mine, and I get emails from him at like 2:30 in the morning. I'm thinking, is he just going to bed? It's like, no, he's been up for an hour and a half. Like he went to bed at 8:30 or 9 o'clock and got up at or whatever. So
it's more like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I'll either sleep till like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or something like that. But
wow,
never past 3:30, 4 o'clock. I'm always up before 3 for the most part.
That's insane. So
that goes back to the paper route.
That's
to the paper route when I was 8, 9 years old, 3:30 in the morning.
Oh,
I
thought you just said I still have a paper route. What?
I trained myself that way since I was little. And the crazy thing is I don't need an alarm clock. I've never had to.
That's insane, man. So here you are at I don't even know, how old are you at that point when you own 100% of this car dealership?
That was 2006, so that's 12 years ago, so I was 41.
So 41 years old, and are you a millionaire at that point?
Now I'm in debt. So here I am. I pay off all my debt. I got money. And then I got a partner that throws me out. It gets better. When I own 50%, at the end of 05, I own 50%. He's got 51%. And all that was for is if we ever had to do anything.
Right.
So as soon as I get to 50%, he tries to throw me out. But I have an employment contract.
Yeah.
So so he throws me out. I got to collect unemployment for 3-4 months. The thing that drove me crazy was, why would he do it? A. B. I'm working 90, 95 hours a week. The place is making a ton of money. He's got another store. He had 2 other stores. He ended up selling that, and the one he had wasn't doing well. And I couldn't believe it, but I could believe it.
Yeah.
So I ended up sitting on the sidelines for 90 days.
Wow.
So I have arbitration. So in my employment contract, we have to go to arbitration. So it's supposed to be 60. I said, he's going to try to postpone this, which he did.
Yeah.
We go to arbitration. Long and short of it, the arbitrator, after like 2 weeks, thing comes back this thick of how bad he is, how terrible he is, and without me, he would have been broke, blah, blah, blah. So I turn around and do it. I said to my attorney, I said, look, we're going to sue this guy and throw him out. He says, what do you mean? I said, we're going right now. Within a month, we're going to go. I want to be the dealer. I want to be the president of the company itself and get rid of him. I says, I'm going to tell you why. The franchise laws changed 6 years ago, so I used to pay attention to stuff.
Yeah.
And he says, because when all these big publicly owned companies, you have to have dealer principals, and the guys that are running them aren't one of the owners.
Yeah.
So we go to court and we beat them.
Wow.
I was the first or second minority guy in the country to get rid of them. And then I go ahead and I go and hawk. I have to borrow all kinds of money. I borrow $1.8 million to get rid of them. Okay.
Holy crap, dude. You borrowed almost $2 million?
Yeah. Paid it off.
Wow.
And I get it paid off, and then the factory turns around and tells you got to redo your building.
Oh, jeez.
So I got a good friend of mine in Connecticut. It was the #1 volume deal. That's the guy I came back from, when I came back from Vegas with.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I said, Dave, this is crazy. These guys, you built your building. Yeah. I said, I don't see any end to this. I says, the margins are getting tighter. You got people from all the guys that are running this company now aren't from America no more. You got these foreigners all running. They don't understand it. They don't look at the dealers and listen to the dealers here. We're different than how it runs everywhere else in the world.
Right.
I said, it's just a total different deal. I don't see it. Now, he's on the dealer advisory board. He's not saying much to me. This is like November 2013. I just redid my building a year and a half earlier. So I'm saying, you know what? I don't see any end to this. So in my mind, I'm saying, I'm going to sell this place the next year or two. So what ends up happening is within 6 months, he sells his.
Oh, man.
Okay?
You gotta be...
So I call him. I try calling him in November, and I say, I think I'm going to get ready. And I call him in December. He doesn't call me back. In January, he calls me. Well, I just finished my deal. I says, I couldn't believe you sold it. He goes, you know what? Everything that you were saying, I knew. So this is like in 13 or 14. So I says, you know what? I'm going to sell the joint. So I ended up turning around and worked it for like a year and a half. I had a really good guy on it, and then that fell through. Then another guy, and the reason why it fell through is because the manufacturer did a few things that didn't work out well, and it was them that caused it. And then I finally sold it to the guy next door. He wanted it. It was a land deal, and I did real well. And it goes back to Matt Eisenberg. He says the toughest thing you'll ever do is save the money for a dealership. Okay. Then the second toughest thing is to be able to run it. But you better run it for 15, 16, at least 10 to 15 years is what he used to say to me.
Yeah.
I told him I wanted to be a trainer. I said, I want to really train people. He goes, how are you going to do that 31 years old? No one's going to listen to you.
Right.
I said, why? You have enough experience and knowledge. Go buy your own store, work it for 10 to 15 years, then sell it. He goes, but I will tell you this. The toughest thing you're ever going to do is buy in. And the second toughest thing you're ever going to do is sell it. And I'll tell you, it was a tough deal.
And you did it.
But I did it because the money was big. So I sold.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
So let's talk a little bit about, so you got, I mean, obviously, not to steal from Trump, but you know the art of the deal. You understand it. You understand the sales process. I mean, it'd be real difficult to own a car dealership if you don't know how to sell cars.
Well, here's the thing that I looked at. A-Car is a company that does accounting work.
Yeah.
All over the country. They do AutoNation. I was the number one guy for many, many years, gross profit per employee that they ever had in the country.
Wow.
So I always said, you sell value, price will take care of itself. Now, today it's changing a little bit because everyone's on the internet, so on and so forth, but you still can make money. And somebody said to me not even a year ago, so I sold my store, to make things clear, the 29th of June, 2017. I opened up this new company July 1st, 2017.
Yeah.
I took a month to clean up things that I needed to clean up, and then I went and worked in a store for 3 weeks for these guys to help them. He had some issues, so on and so forth. So one day I took over, and we delivered 6 cars and made $41,000.
Wow.
And they weren't doing anywhere near that, and he couldn't believe it. And people were happy. Google reviews, the whole 9 yards. I says, you know what? It's still 17. You can make money, but you have to understand how to do the process. So then, you know what? So this guy had a lot of money. When I say he has a lot of money, his father's worth about $2 billion. So this guy had a ton. So I had these other guys that wanted me to go in and help them. So basically what I did with them for 6 weeks, this was sometime September to November 1st, right around there. September 17th to November 1st, 17th. I made them more money with the same people they had, the same inventory. As a matter of fact, we cleaned up some bad inventory year over year in 6 weeks than they made for the year before.
Wow, that's incredible, man. So you started working with other dealers, helping them grow, and now let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now and what's coming, because you've had and I'm sure being the child of a military father, I'm sure your father was I'm sure he was strict in a lot of ways, I would imagine.
But I think everything back then was strict. I mean, the neighborhood was strict. Everything was different,
Yeah, right.
But here's the thing that happened basically is after that deal, and those guys came from money too.
Yeah.
We made a lot of money in 6 weeks, so they figured they had it all figured out. And that's when I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to get into the real training cycle. Yeah. I'm going to do a bunch of videos. I'm going to figure out I'm going to do all this the right way. So I took the winter last year, started taking care of myself more, figured things out. And in April of this past year, 2018, I started working in the studio doing the videos I've been doing. So I produced 97 videos. Wow. And I said that I'm going to put this stuff together. I'm going to sell the videos for the right money. I'm not going to try to hurt people. I'm going to put a tremendous amount of content. Then I'm going to start putting workshops on. Okay, well, here we are. First, where I go ahead and I hook up with someone on LinkedIn. Before I know it, this guy's he's big with Caesars Entertainment, and then he calls me, and then I end up booking these deals with another guy, Fran Taylor, who's a really good guy. I've known Fran a long time. I had him at my dealership. I used to bring different people in all the time just to get a little different perspective. And he's in his late 60s now, but he's been training for 31 years. And Fran was way ahead of his time selling cars. He loves to help people.
Wow.
So there's a tremendous amount of people out there that were 10-car salesmen that are selling 30, 35, 40 cars now.
Yeah.
So we're going to do this workshop November 14th out in Kansas City, Missouri, at the Harris Casino.
I think I'm going to be there.
Yeah, we're going to have you there, Ken. We're going to have several people. It'll be fun. And so the whole idea behind that is we're going to sell 400 tickets. People say, how are you going to do that? Well, I'm in the car business. So I put together scripts. So I have 3-way phones. I got a telemarketing company. I basically went and looked at the Harris, went 200 miles out, said every sales consultant manager, not only in the car business, but everything 200 miles. And these are the scripts. You call them, you get them close, you get me on the phone. We're going to get these people in there. We'll change lives. I will teach these people. And what I'm going to do is we'll have the live stuff that day.
Yep.
And what I'm going to do is take it to the next level. I'm going to give 90 days of mentoring after the event because it takes 90 days to create a habit.
That's insane.
I'm going to do it cheap. I'm going to do the whole event for $400. You couldn't go anywhere for 9 hours to get what we'll be able to pour out there.
For how much?
For $400.
That's crazy, dude.
For nothing, And so that's okay because what I'm going to do is you're going to build 400 people and you'll probably get 5,000 followers in your space.
Yeah.
You're going to build their lives.
Yeah.
So then when I do the next one, we're going to book 12 or 13 of these. And it's so funny because you know how karma comes full circle?
Yep.
Your intro was the woman with the things out in Arizona?
Yeah. Dr. Morgan, Christy Morgan.
Listen, I just booked Phoenix, Arizona 2 days ago to do a workshop.
Did you really? Oh, my God. Wow.
So is she in the Phoenix area?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll do that workshop, and I'll give a percentage of the money to her cause so she can meet us there.
Wow.
You got to do the right thing. I said, here it is. Here's karma.
That's awesome, dude.
Phoenix. Well, the thing about Phoenix, I booked it because it was in April, and the reason why I did it is all the spring training starts down there for all the West Coast teams.
Yeah.
And it's a brand new Harris. It's just opening. It'll be open like 2 weeks before I get there. So it'll all be new. So people will be around. It'll be awesome. And we'll end up, and if this lady's in that area, then we'll meet her and we'll give her some dough.
That's awesome, dude. That's really awesome. See, that's what I mean about you. People that don't, I mean, like, there's a real famous guy that's a trainer that you know pretty well, right?
Oh yeah.
What's his name?
Grant.
Oh, you know that guy?
25 years ago, I met Grant. Imagine that. I met him when he was knocking on doors. I met Grant when Grant was like really working hard just to kind of make it. But I'll tell you what's
funny
Grant,
is
I love the guy, and I'll tell you why I love him because he's always changed. He's always figured it out.
Yeah.
And he works his butt off. He's another one. He works.
He does, man. He's a beast. I was talking to Lisa Copeland, a mutual friend of ours, and she knows Grant. She said Grant, when she owned her car dealership, she said Grant. It was only like 6-7 years ago that he walked into her dealership selling her like that. And, now look at him, man. So that's
social media changed that. Grant always needed the social media stage. If social media would have been around 20 years ago, Grant would be a multi-billionaire today.
Right.
Because he understood the power of putting things out there. He always was like that.
Lisa's on here. She just said good morning. Good morning, Lisa.
Tell her I said hello. Very nice.
Yeah.
That's very nice. So here's the best part about Grant is, when I got hooked with Grant a little bit, is when I said to him one time, I says, you know what? Information's changing things a little bit. He says, you gotta fax blast everything. And I thought about it. I says, he's right. If somebody calls you and they want some information, bury them with 30 pages of information. You know what? They got to call you back.
Right.
They're going to run out of paper. They got to call you back. So it was just funny. So then I started listening to some of his stuff. So every time he was somewhat local, I used to send people to his thing. I said, I'm not coming, but I'll send guys. So I would send guys all the time. I said, you got to go and get refreshed. I remember when they used to have the cassettes, the little cassettes.
Yeah.
And put in all his stuff on it. It was just, so he's funny. And here's the funny thing about him. I'm going down. I'll be down in Florida in the beginning of November, the week before we go to the Harris.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we have everything done by then. Like we got 354 seats done because I won't sleep the whole time I'm in Florida.
Right.
But if that's the case and he's around, I'll go on his show. I'll call him because I was supposed to go on a show last fall and I never got a chance to get down there. I was too busy. I was in Florida, but I never got to see him. So I'm going to go down. If he's there, I'm going to go down and I'll reconvene. I have not. He invited me to his 50th birthday party out in Hollywood Hills. He called me like 3-4 times. You got to come. I said, I'm not coming. And he had everybody there. He had Joe Pesci there. He had them all there. He's funny, man. He really is a grounded guy.
He is, man.
He's made a lot of people a lot of money. I'll tell you, he's trained a lot of people that have gone on to be very successful.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
That's the key. I mean, I've had a lot of guys in my life I've trained and got them sales manager jobs in general and left me to go, and lots of them, not 10 or 20, you know, we're in the hundreds. People over the years.
And that's the thing I want to talk about, like with these workshops that you're doing. I mean, you can bring, you know, just average salespeople in and not only teach them how to increase their sales, but when you increase your sales no matter what you're selling, I don't care if it's cars or you're selling bathroom remodeling, if you increase your sales and it's significant an increase, you're going to get attention from management.
Yeah, well, here's the funny thing. Frank's got 3 people he's bringing, and they all within the last year have been at some of his workshops. One of them was a 10-car guy, had to borrow money to go to his workshop.
Yeah.
And selling 42 cars a month now using his techniques.
That's awesome, man.
The kid had no money and all was broke, and I just bought 2 brand new cars, and he's just sitting, he's saving money for a house.
Hey, Lisa just commented, said she's gonna be on Grant's show too. That's
good for her.
Cool. Yeah.
That's great.
Hey, Jordan Thomas is here. He says hey to both of us. So you've got some really cool stuff coming, man. Some really, really big stuff happening. And you know, for those of my audience that don't know Tony, make sure that you send him a friend request on Facebook. Make sure that you are following him on. You've also have the Tony Provost fan page.
And then we just open up the Epic Closers group, so they get on that, because I'll help anybody I can with as much content and whatever they need. I'll do it.
And I think that you would help. I think people need to understand that, you know, when you get, like, if people could see what I've seen, because you've been transparent with me and FaceTime me from your backyard. Like, your backyard is the ocean. Like, it's insane. And so people don't, know that you're just a good guy, man. And I think that you genuinely want to help people. And I see that. I see that about you.
I'll tell you this: when we do this workshop, there's 300-400 people there. If we can't change their lives, see, my whole thing behind training, I didn't tell you this up front, is I want to be able to be part of flipping what's going on, and no matter what industry it is, not just the car industry, that 70 to 80% of the people in the industry are not making a lot of money, paycheck to paycheck, or just a little bit more. I want to teach them the techniques and show them how to be able to, so they can have a lot more money and get out of that deal. So they only have 20% of the people not making money, 80% of people making money. With content today and the way you can help people today, there's no reason why we can't help change that. And the more money that people are making, the better the country will be too. So it's better for everybody.
Totally agree with you, man. I totally agree. So there will be definitely more information coming very soon about all this.
Real nice website I'm going to have. I'm going to have a great website. I got a good guy working on my website.
Who's that? I don't know what you're talking about.
That's you, Ken Walls, working on my website for the event, right?
Yeah, we're going to have a nice website promoting the event, all of that. We're putting all that together right now. So, Tony, you're like I said, man. I think you're a freaking amazing dude. You've done so much, and you've got so much more to do. I mean, there's not many people that can say that they've accomplished what you've accomplished. So, my hat's off to you, man.
I appreciate it. But the big thing now is we're just scratching the surface. Now we're going to help people. This is where it really begins, because once we start going from one part of the country to the other, and you can start building them, it'll be great. And you got to stay in contact with them. That's the key.
Yeah.
All right, Ken, thank you so much for all your help.
Dude, hey man, that's what I do, man. I appreciate that. But I want to. There's a lot left. There's a lot more to do, and I want to help you. Lisa Copeland, I help her. Like, all of the greats, the people that really know you and Lisa, and Jason Hallen's on here, another great friend of mine, and does some sales training stuff too. And like, I love seeing, because look, there's millions and millions of salespeople, millions, right? If you're alive, if you're on this planet, you're in sales, whether you think you are or not. Like, right? So like, I love helping people help people.
And the funny thing is too, Ken, is my thought process is everybody you want to do well. So if someone's in the same field, who cares? Help them.
Right.
Now, if I can help a sales trainer, I would help anyone with anything. It doesn't matter to me. The reality of the whole thing is the more you do that way, I believe in karma. It comes back and comes back, and it's just the way it is. Yep. And I tell you, what I told you the other day was I got an email 2 days ago from a company who's a huge company, and it was kind of funny. And then I got a phone call from somebody that knows the guy, and he said, listen, they want you to go in and help them. And so I talked to them. And I said, so we talked about a couple of things, and I said, okay, you guys are selling 500 cars a month. Yeah. Why do you need my help? And I says, it's 3 things, right? Gross profit, turnover, and net profit.
Yeah.
And the guy said, how'd you know? I says, what else could it be?
Right.
500 cars. He said, well, how are you going to change that? I said, we're going to raise their pay plans. What do you mean? I said, that's exactly. We're going to figure out what you need to make for gross. We're going to raise it from there, and they're going to get a huge cut. So you can get what you need to get out of it because you're nowhere near it now, right?
That's right.
He goes, yes, do that. I said, you're going to get me in a room for 6 hours, and we're going to figure it all out, and then we're going to do it. I says, but I'm not going to sit there every day. I'll be there 3 times a month for you for 4-hour workshops for the first 3 months. Then you guys can call me and talk to me, and then we'll do once a month, and this is what it's going to cost you. And he looked at me and said, that's a lot of money. I says, we'll see how much gross profit you make. If I can double or triple your gross, is that a lot of money?
Right. Right. And that's what it takes. You gotta be able to go in there, see the numbers, and help people make a difference. And that's what you're doing, man. So, dude, you're a good guy. I really genuinely appreciate you taking the time to come on the show and tell everybody your story. How can people follow you best? Where's the best place to follow you?
Facebook, really. I mean, I'm on it every day. So, I mean, I just started that whole deal. That's the other thing. Facebook. And I just started Instagram a month ago. Facebook back, in April? I mean, I never was on it. And then, what's so funny is you don't realize how powerful it is till you get on it and start seeing what's going on. Now you can understand why Grant blew up, because he's all over the place.
He is.
You can't, whether you like him or not, you're going to see him.
It's true, man. It's true.
That's where I'm at now.
So Facebook and Instagram. What's your Instagram handle? Do you know?
I don't even know. I don't even know.
It's under Tony Provost.
Yeah,
Look him up. He's on there. You'll find him.
Then you got the Epic Closers group that I just opened like a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And I hope everyone that has a group gets on my group, And if they have to advertise on it, I don't care.
Right.
No problem. It doesn't matter. Just keep it going. We'll grow it up.
Love it, dude. Love it. All right, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you taking the time. Don't hang up on Skype. But everybody that shared this out, thank you. Damien Bordeaux was, I can never say his name. You know who he is. Was on here a minute ago giving all kinds of hearts. Appreciate that, Damien. So, listen, appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for all the shares. I've seen it popping up. Tony, thank you so much for coming on. And you guys all have an amazing, amazing day. And enjoy your weekend. And hey, just because it's the weekend doesn't mean you need to stop. I don't. You guys have a great day. We'll see you later.